I want to describe something you might recognize, even if you've never had a name for it. Imagine standing with one foot in each of two canoes. One is the life you recognize, the version of yourself you've built, the way people see you, the place where you fit. The other canoe is what's coming next. Something you can sense, but perhaps can't quite name. The water is moving, and the canoes are slowly drifting apart. At some point, you'll have to choose. But until you choose, you get to be both versions of yourself at once. You haven't yet lost what you're losing. This comes from a chapter in my book about a student I'll call Tom. He had a condition that was slowly taking his vision. His accommodations were on the table: large print books, a CCTV screen he could adjust, and Braille. He said no to all of it. The large print books were visibly bigger. You could see them from across the room. There was no quiet version of any of these tools. They were all visible, and visibility was the whole problem. He told us the standard print was working. It wasn't working, yet he held the line. For a long time, I thought he was embarrassed. I thought if I made a clear enough case, he'd pick up the tools. What I missed was that he wasn't refusing a textbook. He was refusing to agree out loud in front of his classmates, in front of himself, that what was happening was actually happening. Every accommodation on that table was also a confirmation he wasn't ready to make. You cannot argue someone into willingness. That isn't stubbornness. That is a person standing in two canoes for as long as they can. What changed for Tom wasn't a better argument. The school was full of adults who were blind, teachers, staff, administrators, doing ordinary things every day. He was surrounded by people who had already crossed and were okay. One afternoon, he needed to read a bus schedule for a group trip. He held it close. He turned it sideways, held it even closer. And then he pushed back his chair, crossed the room to the CCTV that he'd walked past every day for months, and he read the schedule out loud. After that day, he used the large print book. He used the CCTV. In time, he started learning Braille. He didn't move forward when he accepted his losses. He moved forward when something on the other side became bigger than what he'd have to leave behind. The willingness came from wanting, not from acceptance. If you've been standing in two canoes, you're not stalling, you're not failing, you're getting ready. Here's your reflection for this week. Where in your life are you keeping your face on the page, insisting that the standard print is working, even though the strain is starting to show? What would picking up the tool mean? You have to acknowledge. You're not behind, you're between. And that's a completely different thing. See you next week.